We are here at about 6 minutes to 7 on June 28th, about to commit, or some of us will be in the business of about to vote a tragedy on Pennsylvania's people, a tragedy that does not have to happen, a tragedy that does not have to exist. Want for at least the opportunity to open up a process to include all members of this body to have a say into what is going on. This document, House Bill 1485, which it appears will be the budget for the coming year for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, was crafted by only a portion of the total members of the Senate and only a portion of the total members of the House of Representatives, and definitely by the governor. It is their document. It is their plan. It is their program. And the pain that will come from this document will be the pain that they will have to bear. When a property tax is raised in a local community, they can call to the other side of this body and say, why is my property tax increased? Why didn't you not give us the extra money to help ease the pain? When a teacher or some other individual is laid off across this Commonwealth, the call that they should make will be to the front office or to the governor's mansion and say, why did you not speak up for me when you had the money to do it? Why did you not put me first as opposed to putting the Marcellus Shale industry drillers first? Or why did you not put me first? I needed that job to pay off my student loan. Why did you not put me first? I need a little extra help so the tuition increase wouldn't be so high. Why did you not put me first? Mr. Governor, leaders of the majority in the Senate, leaders of the Republican majority in the House, why did you not put me first when I was forced to go an extra semester and pay and incur more debt to go to college? It will be those individuals who will be feeling the pain. The folks who needed help in terms of making sure that their home would not be foreclosed on them will not see the help that's necessary for them in this budget, as the Homeowners Emergency Mortgage Assistance Program is cut by 80%. 80%. From $10 million that was spent last year to $2 million that's being spent this year. They'll want to know, why didn't the state of Pennsylvania stand up for them? And all they have to do is call the front office, call the mansion, call the majority leadership in this chamber and the Republican leadership on the House, and ask them that question. Because we have extra money to help them. And the most pressing problem, not just in the state of Pennsylvania, but in every state of the nation that's dragging our economy down, is the housing crisis. It's holding everybody back. It's holding for this nation from moving forward. It's holding Pennsylvania from moving forward. Yet it is found in this mission, in this budget, written by the majority, that didn't let anyone else participate, that the HEMAP program would be cut by 80%. That's the program we should be helping people the most. But if you have a mortgage right now, and you're standing on the edge, and you're looking into the abyss, and you're looking at foreclosure about to shut you out of the process, this state will not stand for those people. If you work in a hospital or some other healthcare institution, this state chooses not to stand for you, as it unnecessarily cuts the funding out of those programs. If you were a low-income working Pennsylvanian who on February 28th saw your health insurance program, the adult basic program, shut off for you, this state chooses not to stand for you, but it chooses to stand for Marcellus Shale industry. It chooses to stand for the big corporations in this Commonwealth who in this budget get a $300 million tax break. That's what they get. What average worker in Pennsylvania get the shaft in this budget. They get their local property taxes increased, and more than likely, a lot of them get laid off. That's what this state budget does for them. If your child's struggling in a low income and a poor school district, and you're trying to do your homework, and you're trying to get your studies straight, and you're trying to figure out a way to make it through because you bought in to education and you got turned on by education, well, this budget says, this budget shuts you out. It shuts you down. It says, you know what, if you're in a difficult community, if you see the opportunity that education can provide for you, this state will not stand for you. This state unfairly discriminates against low-income school districts. This budget does not stand for these children. That's what this budget does. That's what House Bill 1485 does. We stood up, Mr. President, and Senator Fontana, he introduced an amendment that was representative of putting jobs first in this Commonwealth and putting people back to work. That's what he did. He stood up and offered that amendment. And that's what our proposals were for. That's what they stood for, to put people to work. The amendment was shut down. He tried to offer the amendment on the floor of the Senate. He was shut off and cut off from debate. Senator Washington wanted to accumulate tons of dollars and bring them back into the mix. Enough dollars that not to break the state budget, but enough dollars in our Senate surplus, in our surplus in this current budget year. She offered that amendment. It was voted down in the Appropriations Committee. She tried to offer it on the floor. She was shut out of the process. Senator Kitchen stood up to try to introduce an amendment to stand up for those healthcare institutions that provide healthcare services, and those institutions are not being compensated because so many people don't have the money to pay for those healthcare services. She was shut down. That amendment was voted down in committee, but she stood up for people who deserve to have someone to stand up for them. Senator Stack stood up for adult basic, but shut down. He was in this process. We stood up collectively to stand for putting money back into basic education, to make sure that low-income school districts, but more importantly, that all school districts were treated fairly in this budget process. For those to say that the money does not exist is a falsehood. The money is right there. It's counted every day. The number is growing up dramatically. And if we don't put the people first, if we don't invest in the human capacity of this Commonwealth, then those individuals will know that no one stood for them, or at least some stood for them, but this state made a callous decision not to respond to their needs. And that's not where we need to be going. We wanted to put more money in our arts community. We wanted to revitalize our artistic and cultural community and bring them to the level that they deserve to be at. We have the money to do it. The surplus exists to do it, Mr. President, but folks stood against them. They stand against children. They stand against economic development. They stand against folks trying to get back into their homes and prevent themselves from going into foreclosure based on an economy that they did not create. We stood up for them. But the majority crafted this budget amongst themselves. If they'd opened up the table to allow all to participate, maybe the wisdom of full participation would have spread over the majority, and they would have taken on some of these ideas and be more thoughtful about the needs of the people of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and allowed those ideas to come into form, into fashion in this budget document. But no, they looked the other way. They closed doors amongst themselves. And to some, I guess that's the privilege of being in the majority. You run the House, you run the Senate, you run the front office. You have the privilege of running the whole deal. But I can tell you this, that Pennsylvania's people did not buy into the results of what will happen from this budget. Some will say the people voted, and this is the government that they voted for. I will tell you right now that every poll that exists in this Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is that these are the policies that they don't want. That this budget is a document that they do not want, they will not support. But unfortunately, it will be forced down their throats. Mr. President, 7:03, on June 28th, we are poised to take a vote on something that will have a devastating effect on the economic reality of so many millions of Pennsylvania citizens. The progress that we were making in this Commonwealth, which is indicative of a $700 million current year budget surplus, will be stunted. And hopefully we'll be able to recover from that. But if you're a working person in Pennsylvania, if you're trying to make it through, look to the majority in this body, look to the majority in the House, look to the majority in the Senate, look to the governor's office, see who's standing for you. Clearly they aren't. They're standing against you, and it's reflected in this budget document. Mr. President, I urge a no vote to stand up for the people of this Commonwealth. Thank you.